So if you're new to my page, then I teach narcissism from the perspective of it being its own godlike intelligence. Because being that we are in the third dimension, there is a concept of duality that is still the foundation of this realm. So with that being said, even if we think of things numerologically, the word narcissist holds the same value of 33 as kundalini, which is what we otherwise refer to as Christ consciousness or Christ frequency. Now, the question that was asked was, why are there wealthy narcissists if you have to regulate your nervous system to resonate at the heart chakra frequency in order to expand your auric field, which increases your magnetization and allows you to be able to afford higher dimensions of information. Now, being that we exist in a duality, then that means, I'm going to take this biblically, by the way, because as an ordained metaphysical minister, I take a metaphysical approach to the Bible. So this is not to trigger you. Nothing that I say is a perspective, is to be constructed in the same way as religious people would. This is all spiritual. So with that being said, we know that Christ is symbolic to Jesus because the 33 is the kundalini, which is the crucifixion. Because once your kundalini rises, then there is a symbolic death that happens at the axis of the atlas, which is where your spinal cord meets the medulla oblongata of your brain. So this happens within your nervous system, essentially. That is why your nervous system is essential to you expanding your capacity to attract wealth and other forms of luxury. So the thing about the narcissist and the Christ frequency, Jesus was also Lucifer. The Bible states that they are both the morning star, which means in the morning star is Venus. Venus is the divine feminine in planetary form, because Venus travels every 8 years along an axis that, if you trace the points where it meets the earth, there are 5 vertices. Those 5 vertices are the pentagram. The pentagram is the 4 feminine elements plus the spirit, which is the feminine. Now, the narcissist, this is where the ego and spirit comes in, since we're mentioning it, because we have this misconception that that ego is unnecessary, but your ego should be integrated so that the Holy Trinity, the true Holy Trinity, which is your mind, body, and spirit, Christ energy, your kundalini, can be in coherence. This is what I was referring to when I was referring to in the other video with the love frequency and the heart chakra resonance, because your ego is basically the you that you developed as a result of not being able to fully express the unwanted parts that made other people uncomfortable. So your ego was birthed through other people's perception of you. Now, on the flip side, the ego has an inversion of itself, which is called the shadow. The shadow is the parts of you that you suppress or that you hide within yourself. They stay hidden, hence the word shadow, because those are the parts that you were taught were unacceptable, the parts that made people uncomfortable. So you hide those. This is also, the shadow is also Satan, which is Saturn. So this Saturn energy of your shadow, because Saturn represents karma and judgment, when you don't express that shadow, when you keep that inner child locked away, because the inner child is the heart chakra, this is what's causing the incoherence in your body, which ends up resulting in physical ailments. That's why I did that whole video on schizophrenia not being a mental illness. Excuse me. Now, when you are expressing your shadow side, this is the inner child work. This is the inner child reconnection. This is what I offer in Metaphysical Healing 101. This is the foundation of healing from narcissism. So with that being said, what happens when there are narcissists in higher dimensions, or rich people who happen to also be narcissists? They have learned to accept their darkness. They have mastered the art of the self, which is integrating the lower aspects that keep you otherwise anchored to the third dimensional realm. So when it comes to resonating at the heart frequency in the love energy that's emitted from that biofield or that auric space is just about you. It's about how you feel about yourself, how much you trust and feel safe within your own being. The love frequency doesn't have anything to do with the way that you treat others or other people's perspective of you. The love frequency resonating at that heart chakra, having that heart coherence, is just you accepting the good, bad, and the ugly. So because people who are narcissists, if we break down this word, as I do in other videos, when we break down the word narcissist, we get narc of Isis. Now, in Greek mythology, Narcissus was a boy who was in love with his own reflection. Or if you could think of reflection as a shadow in this case, because the inversion of your reflection would be the silhouette, which is the shadow. He fell in love with the dark parts of himself, which is the ego, the egocentric aspect of the ego, not the integrated aspect of the ego, which knows how to express those shadow parts in order for it to feel whole. So we have to abandon the religious concept that love has to do with how we feel for anybody else but ourselves. Love is the frequency that makes you attract money, which is what you are disconnected from when you are caught up or entangled with these narcissists, is your self-mastery, is your self-love, your internal wellness, your heart coherence. So with narcissism being this intelligence, the narcissist, because the Bible tells us that God created good and evil. And I have a video over on YT, if you want to subscribe to me, about love being evil, because it is an illusion. Love is a spell, because we think love is only expressed outside ourselves. So narcissism being this intelligence is the necessary evil in order for us to reach certain states of enlightenment. This is how we go through the process of soul activation. Jesus had to descend to the depths of the earth in order to transcend his consciousness and be one with the Father. This was the crucifixion. And ego death is an illusion, because all the ego wants to do is learn how to express or integrate those shadow parts that other people did not accept of them. The ego wants to be accepted. So once you learn how to accept your ugliness and how to use that to reach your full potential, there is no morality, because the duality of the third dimension is essentially an illusion, because the narcissist is also the goddess to someone else. That's why when you break the word narcissist down, you get narc of Isis. The evil that is love, or that is this narcissist, Eve being the darkness, which is the mother womb. Eve in the Bible, the first man, the original man, because Adam was the atoms that made up Eve's body. And El being the electricity that is radiated from your heart chakra once you reach this coherence, once you are able to integrate the dark aspects of your being.